check that's recording. Not quite yet. There we go. Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. So, so BMI then it's a measure of how whether your weight is normal or you're overweight or even obese or you're underweight, and it takes into account your height and your weight. Yeah. Because somebody that's, say, I don't know, in old money kind of thing, somebody that's, say, 12 stone, let's say, if they're 6'5", that's probably quite a healthy weight. But if they're 5'6", they're probably overweight. Yeah.
Yeah.
So any measure of whether of your overweightness or normal weightness has got to take into account your weight, but also your height as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they invented BMI, and it does that very well. Actually, it's still one of the best measures we've got of whether of how healthy your weight is. Okay. And the formula, as it says over here, in plain English, is to find out your BMI. You've got to take your weight and divide it by your height squared. Okay.
Yeah.
So already it's quite mathematical, but basically what it means is you sort of turning it around slightly. You find out what your height is. Okay. You multiply that by itself, which is what squared means, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you've got that answer, you take weight and you divide it by it. Okay.
Right.
So we've got to come up with a formula that does that in a second, using Excel's formula language sort of thing, with brackets and equals and all kinds of things. But just one thing before we do, one other thing you need to know is in the blue box here, and that is for the BMI formula to work, your height must be in meters, and your weight must be in kilograms. There's no point putting in feet and inches for BMI or stones and things like that. It's got to be metric. Okay, it only works with metric, I'm afraid, the BMI. Okay. So all it remains to do really on this first task is to work out what formula would go in F4 basically. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to have to do, if you remember that it's, we'll do it for Scott first because we're in F4 here. His height is 185 centimeters and his weight is 65 kilograms, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're going to have to do is take his height, multiply his height by itself, so square it in other words, okay?
Yeah.
Get the answer and then divide his weight, which is 65, by that. So it's his weight there in E4 divided by the number in D4 times itself. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm still with you?
Yeah.
There's one other slight complication. As I say, the height has got to be in meters. It's currently in centimeters, so we're going to have to do a conversion as well. And all of this in one formula. So it's going to be a complex formula, okay?
Mm.
And it's tricky. I haven't met anybody that's worked this one out for themselves. I've had to give help, unless they've done a little bit of cheating, to be honest. But it's quite hard to work it out for yourself. One thing for sure, we know it's going to start with equals, okay?
Yeah.
Because it's a formula, and all formulas start with equals. And then remember, the BMI is weight divided by height squared. So we know it's going to, the next thing in the formula is going to be his weight, okay? Which is, and what cell is Scott's weight in? What cell is it in?
It's in E4.
E4, that's right, yeah. E4. I've put the small e in there, doesn't matter, it can be small or big, okay? So that's a great start, right? We've got equals E4, that's a good start. Easy so far, yeah?
Yeah.
Now we need to divide that by height squared, so, and the divided by, so do you know what the divided by symbol is in spreadsheets?
It's the, is it the /?
It is, well, yeah, excellent, well done. / okay, so again, easy so far, right?
Yeah.
Now it gets a bit difficult now because we've got to take his height, okay, which is in D4, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got to multiply it with, well, we've got to multiply it by itself, but before we do that, we've got to convert it into meters. Now, there's 100 centimeters in a meter, okay?
Yeah.
So we're going to have to divide his height by 100 before we multiply it by itself, before we square it, basically. Does that make sense?
Right. Okay.
And this is how you do that. And the other thing is we're going to have to use brackets here because it's all got to be done in one go.
Yeah.
Right, I've opened some brackets there. I'm going to type stuff into them like that. Okay, open a couple of brackets there. So everything we do has got to be in brackets. Otherwise, it'll do it in the wrong order, and we'll get the wrong answer. Okay. So, what cell is Scott's height in?
It's in D4.
It is, right. We need to, but it's in centimeters, so we need to divide that by 100. Okay, so that's like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's in the brackets there at the moment is converting his height from centimeters to meters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the next bit, there's a few ways of doing it. I could just do a times and then all of those brackets again. So times d4 divided by 100, all in brackets, okay? But there's a slight, there's quite an elegant way of doing it, which is in Excel language, there's to square something. What you do is you use the use one of those, like an upside down V, and a 2. Okay. In maths, we say that it's raising it to the power of 2, which basically means squaring it, multiplying it by itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
You with it so far?
Yeah. So if it's a dark question or not, I don't know. Do you have to go to symbols to get the upside down?
Oh no, no. It's if you look on your keyboard. If you've got a standard keyboard, it's just you see the 6 key on the top row.
Oh, it's above the 6.
Above the 6. So you'll need a shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shift. If I go shift and 6, you'll see I get loads of them like that.
Yeah.
Now I did ask if you're okay with that so far because that's it. It's finished. That's it.
Oh right.
That's it.
Okay.
See, again, before I press enter, as soon as I press enter, it does the calculation. But can you see? Have a look at the structure of it. Right. We're basically taking his height, which is in D4, dividing it by 100. Yeah. Do you remember why that was? Why are we dividing the height by 100?
Because it turns it into meters and centimeters. Is that it?
That's right. Yeah, from centimeters into meters. Why does it have to be in meters? Why can't we keep it in centimeters?
That I don't know.
If you look in the blue box here, under NB, height must be in meters and weight must be in kilograms. Otherwise, the BMI formula doesn't work. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
You'll be out by a factor of 1,000 or 10,000 or something. Yeah. So in brackets there, it's doing that conversion from centimeters into meters. The up D4 will be done last.
You froze
then, Pardon?
You froze then, lovey.
Okay, that will. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Got me back again now? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know how much of that you missed, but in bracket, it'll do the in bracket. It always does brackets first. That's why we use brackets, and then it'll square it, and then it'll divide E4 by that. Okay.
Right.
If I press enter, the sign that it's worked correctly or not will be whether if it's in BMIs, they're usually within the range of sort of 20s and 30s, that sort of thing, or maybe a bit less than 20. Average person will be somewhere in the 20s usually. Yeah. So if I press enter, fingers crossed, if it comes out in the 20s, we know we've got it right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, 18.99. It's a little bit below, but it's actually because Scott is quite tall and his weight is 65 kilograms, which is not very much actually. So that is correct. In fact, yeah, that's worked okay. Yeah.
Right.
Now I'm not going to go and do that for all of these. What am I going to do instead?
Replicate it for the other gym members.
That's right. Yeah.
So
how am I going to do?
You're going to have to put some sort of formula in, I think, or do you just drag it down?
Just drag it down using that thing. Remember this thing here, the autofill handle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Grab that and drag it down, and you see for all the other people. And that's a good sign as well. There's lots of people in the 20s and 30s and that sort of thing. So it shows that that it's worked. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I wouldn't have had a clue how to do that.
It's tricky. If you notice on the Padlet where you get this the instructions from, this is under the advanced heading now. This is kind of proper A level, A star standard kind of spreadsheets now really. So, but you've seen that if you work through it logically like that, how easy it is to do it. So what I want you to do now is go off, have a go yourself, and when you've finished it, email it to me like we've done this morning. Yeah.
Okay, lovey. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye. That's how you do that.